If you've gotten an admission offer to study in the United Kingdom and you're preparing to submit your student visa application, you need to watch this video before you submit anything, because there are changes to the UK law effective April 2025. Rejections are painful and avoidable, so I want to help you get it right the first time without using an agent, because when I did my application I did it myself. So you need to stay tuned, watch this video to the end so that you can submit a compelling application and get your student visa right on time without any complications. And if you find this video very helpful, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. I believe that if you're watching this video now, it means that you have gotten your CAS, confirmation of acceptance of studies. But in case you do not know what that is, you need to watch my video where I talked about how to move to the UK on a student visa. So your CAS in a nutshell is a confirmation that the university gives to you, which you can use to apply for visa, that confirms that you are going to be an enrolled student, you have a valid admission letter, and you can come to the UK on a student visa. So if you already have your CAS, congratulations to you. And I believe this is the CAS season. From April 2025, most UK universities have started issuing CAS to students who will be coming for September 2025. And my emphasis will be on postgraduate students, because that was the route I used to come to the UK. First of all, you need to understand that you are applying for a Tier 4 student visa. As simple as that. So you need to be sure of the type of visa that you're applying for. So it's a Tier 4 student visa, and I believe you would have gotten all your documents ready by now. But if you haven't, please go back and watch my video where I talked about how to move to the UK on a student visa, and you can see all the documents that you need. First of all, you need to get how much you have to pay in your tuition deposit. So the tuition deposit will be the amount that you're supposed to pay for your school fees, and if you've made any other deposit, you need to subtract the total amount you have to pay from the amount you've paid to know the balance that you have to show in your account. Now, after your tuition deposit, you need to also add your living expenses. Yes, you should prove that you have enough money to take care of yourself during the 1 year of your studies, during the 2 years of your studies, depending on how long you're going to be staying. So I'm going to take, for example, you are doing a 12-month course. So you need to prove that you have I think for those living in London, it will be £1,334 for a month. So you need to prove that you have 9 months of that amount in your bank account. And if you're schooling outside London, it will be 1,034. So if you multiply that by 9, do the maths, it will tell you how much you need to have. I think for the 1,034 should be around £9,000 or so. So if you add £9,000 to your tuition deposit, that will tell you how much you need to have in your account as proof of funds. So for example, your school fees is £15,000 and you have paid £5,000 as your initial deposit. So the balance to pay on your school fees will be £10,000. So £10,000 plus your living expenses, let's say it's the £9,000, that is £19,000. So you need to prove that you have the equivalent of that money in your bank account before you can apply for your visa. And the money must have been in your account for 28 consecutive days. So it means that if you are applying for your visa, say the 30th of May, the money should have been in your account at least from the 2nd of May. So that should have, at least for 28 days, you have had that money in your account. So for at least 1 month, you should prove that you have that money in your account. So you don't want to print your statement without showing that you have the full money in your account. Also, it would be good to add your flight expenses, your flight money, some extra money just in case. And so if you're in Nigeria, you need to know what the exchange rate is. So we use the Ohanda exchange. I'm going to put that in the description so you can see. So go and calculate what the exchange rate for the currency is at the day that you are, what the exchange rate is at the day you are applying for your student visa. So if the exchange rate is 2,000 naira to £1, it means that you multiply 2,000 by £19,000. That will give you the equivalent amount you need to have as naira in your account. Now, fluctuations in the exchange rate could occur. So what you want to be sure that you are not just using the exact one that exchange rate. Maybe you add, because the naira to pounds is very, very unstable. So you don't want to use the exact rate in Rwanda. You want to increase that a little bit. So if the exchange rate today is like 2,000, So you want to say, okay, maybe make it 2,100 in terms of your calculation. Be sure that you have the equivalent amount of 2,100 so that you can be sure that you have enough money for your studies. Now, this is where it gets tricky. The rate that the UK government recognizes when they want to calculate your proof of funds is not the rate as at the initial date of the money in your account, but the date of your application. So you want to be sure that throughout the 28 days period or the 1 month period, that the rate as at the date of application is sufficient to cover all of your tuition fees plus your living expenses, such that your UK student visa will not be denied. So just make sure that you increase the amount you want to put in your account so that proof of funds is not the reason why you are denied. And the new law in the UK says that the caseworker, that's the person handling your student visa application, has enough rights, can decide to reject an application if they find it to be fraudulent, if they find it to be not straightforward, if they find it to be false, not convincing. So you don't want to put yourself in that state where the caseworker that is reviewing your application cannot see that you have enough money to pay your school fees. So exchange rates can be a tricky one. Make sure you have enough and above the amount when you are applying for your student visa. Another thing to consider, make sure that if you withdraw money from an investment, maybe you had an investment, you just withdrew the money to put in your bank account, make sure that you are not showing the day the huge fund entered into your account. Otherwise, you will need a proof to show that the transaction was legitimate, to prove that you had enough money to pay to have that such an amount. So what are you doing? Did you sell a land? Did you get a gift? How were you able to raise that huge amount of money? So there must be enough evidence to explain how you got the money. Otherwise, it will be best to just print your bank statement, make sure that it is clean, tidy. It does not include the day the huge money entered. It just shows that there's a flow of money in your account to cover your studies. If someone is sponsoring you, make sure that you include a certificate of sponsorship, maybe a letter explaining that they will be sponsoring you. Make sure you include their bank statements that show that they have enough money to cover that studies, and also make sure you include a proof of relationship, because UKVI wants to be sure that you're not just getting any random person as someone that can pay your tuition fees. They want to be sure that the money is secure, that you're a genuine student, and that you can prove that you're a genuine student. So maybe something like a birth certificate, pictures with them, undertaking, maybe court affidavits, anything that can prove that yes, they have a good relationship with you and they are willing to pay your tuition fees. You can say that I'm dwelling so much on proof of funds because this is a very tricky and a very important aspect of your student visa application. If you get this right, you have almost gotten everything right. So you cannot afford to make silly, avoidable mistakes when it comes to your proof of financial statement. You need to be sure that you have enough money and you must prove it. Make it clear and clean. They don't want a non-straightforward application. They don't want something that is not clear, that they need to demand for extra documentation. So if you know that there are documentations that are needed, make sure you include them. And that takes me to the next point, which is to make all your documentation clean and tidy. Spend money on getting clean scanned copy. Don't use your phone to snap. It might not give you the best quality. So you want to go to a business center where you can get scanned copies of all your documents. Your TB certificate has to be there. You can go through my previous video where it tells you all the documents, but I can just summarize them. Your TB certificate, your employment. If you're working, please include your employment letter, the day you were employed, your salary, how much you earn. Include pay slips if possible. Include employer's reference, maybe one from HR that says, oh, we know you. There's a good character test. Good character report that talks about who you are, how you've been helping the organization. Include voluntary activities so that they will know that this is a person of value that is coming to their country. And like I said earlier, there is a new law that means that the caseworker can decide to reject your application. And that takes me to the next point. So the next point is write a statement of purpose. I know that most applications for the UK, is quite different from the US and Canada, where most times in the UK you don't really need a statement of purpose, which is like a cover letter. But I think with the way things are going, it is important that you have a statement of purpose. Now, if you've ever applied for admission or for US or UK visa, if you've ever applied for Canada visa and sometimes US visa, you know that you need to provide a statement of purpose, like a supporting statement telling us everything about you and why we should give you the visa. So it is important that you have something similar in your UK application. Just a quick summary about yourself. Tell us about yourself, just similar to the statement of purpose you used to apply for admission, right? Tell us about yourself. Tell us about the school you're going to. Tell us about the course, why you love the course, how it aligns with your career goals. Tell us about what you've been doing all your life and why this master's program or postgraduate program is important to you and where you see yourself in the next future. Make sure that it is very clear, coherent, simple. You can watch my video on how to write a good statement of purpose. I'm going to put that up for you to see. So you want to also have a statement of purpose that just explains your story, so that whenever the caseworker picks your the visa application, they just look through everything like, oh, this is really good, and then you can easily get your visa. So make sure everything clean and tidy and coherent. Make sure that your documents have the same names. I know we have a lot of issues in Nigeria where people can mistake names or don't write the full names. Like me, I had similar issue. In my WAEC, I had like it wasn't my full name that was on my WAEC. It was in an abbreviated part of my name, and so I had to explain why in other of my documents it is written in full, why this one is written in abbreviation. Even if it's written in initial, maybe John O'Hara, like John O. Okwemuiwa, whatever your name is, make sure that if there are any places where there are abbreviation, you explain clearly that, oh, this one, my name was abbreviated here, this is my full name, just tell us, make everything clean and clear so that it's easy for the caseworker to review your file and just give you a thumbs up, like give you a visa. Another thing you need to bear in mind is that you may be invited for a credibility interview. Especially if you have a long study gap, the UK can invite you for interview. They'll just send you an email saying that we'll be inviting you for interview at a date, and you need to prepare for it. Because maybe they just want to be sure that the reason why you want to study is because you want to study, that you're a genuine student. There's something called a genuine student. Someone whose reason for studies is actually study. Because some people, have other reasons why they want to go abroad. It might not be to study, so they might just want to hear from you, and this is where it gets interesting. Do you really want to go and study? And if you really do want to go and study, you should know everything about the course you are applying for. So they're going to ask you questions like, oh, what is the course that you want to study? Why this university? What do you love about the place? Maybe you're going to Scotland. You should know at least one or two things about Scotland. Go and do your research. Google is your friend. ChatGPT is your friend. Do your research. They may ask you about maybe where you're currently working, or some modules on the course. Maybe sometimes they can ask you about modules in the course, and because you should have gone through the course modules, right? If you're doing, let me say, finance, you should maybe there's investments there, maybe there's international finance, there's exchange rate valuation. Just go and check the modules of your course. They can ask you that. So if you're not able to pass the credibility interview, they can reject your student visa application. So you want to be sure that you are a genuine student and you can prove that. So if you have a long study gap, whether you have that or not, make sure that you prepare for a credibility interview just in case. And they usually give you time, maybe 1 day, 2 days, 1 week to prepare for it. So just prepare for it so that you can ace the interview and get your student visa. Finally, make sure you apply early. Don't wait for last minute rush. August is usually a very busy period during UKVI application. So it's a hit period. Try to give yourself at least 1 or 2 months before your course start date to have applied for your admission, for your visa, and get everything ready. So once you're able to apply, just in case you have any hiccups, any issues, any delay, you can easily manage it and not have issues with starting your course. Because another thing is enrollment. I don't want to dive into that today, but you need to, sometimes some schools will require you to have enrolled at certain dates. without which you can forfeit your student visa. Like, it's as important as that. If you don't resume at this time, you can be asked to, leave. They can recall your cast and all of that. So you don't want to put yourself in that situation. So apply early as possible. Just going to summarize everything I said. So if you want to avoid visa rejection, number one, pay attention to your proof of funds, your proof of your financial statements, your proof of your finances. Make sure that you get it right. Get enough funds in your account to prove that you can pay your school fees and your living expenses. Number two, you want to make sure that your documentations are okay, that your names are aligned, you have proper documentations, you have all the required documents. The most important ones are your passport, your transcript, and your transcript, your degree certificate, your proof of funds, the same ones you use to apply for admission, right? Your TB test, and your statement of purpose, which is actually important. So once you have all the documents ready and the names are all aligned, you have the same name, or you can prove that you are the same person. Just in case you're married, you've done a change of name, you want to include all the required documentation, marriage certificates, and what have you. Include that. Number three, write a statement of purpose, just explaining yourself so they can know who you really are. Number four, prepare for your credibility interview, just in case you are called to, answer a few questions about your studies. And number five, apply early to avoid rush, to avoid last minute delay, and once you're able to, carry out the steps, you can actually apply for your student visa by yourself without an agent and get it right the first time. I did it. I didn't have to struggle. Within 5 days, I got my visa, and my partner and my dependents, so you can do that as well. Just follow my steps. And if you have any questions about this, please drop that question in the comment section. I will read them and answer it for you. Thank you for listening today, and I hope you got value today. And if you did, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.